think students think that studying literature at CSU is fantastic, partly because there are smallish classes. It's a relatively small discipline, and so you can start with a group of other students who you get to know quite well, and also the staff get to know you as a student quite well, which means they can kind of help you identify your strengths, build on them, and really get to know you as a student and as a person, and get to care about you.
I love teaching Australian literature and studying Australian literature because the texts are so fun. When we study Australian literature, we study some of the most interesting and resonant texts that Australia has produced. Texts by some really fascinating, thoughtful and creative people.
Right from the first line or the first word, we want students to allow their imaginations to run. And English literature isn't about decoding what your lecturer wants you to see in it. It's about allowing those meanings to flourish in you. And that's really the first step to becoming a student of English. Some of my students are surprised to learn that I didn't actually enjoy English at high school. I didn't do very well. I was becoming a reader around about that age, about 16 or 17, but I read pretty much anything except what I was told to read. So that informs my teaching today, particularly when I teach first year.
Well, there are a number of reasons to study Irish literature. A number of international writers, major international writers in the 20th century were Irish. Obviously James Joyce, William Butler Yeats, Samuel Beckett, and more recently Seamus Heaney. 3 of these have won Nobel Prizes. So studying them in an Irish context is a very good way to do it.
I was someone who loved reading, just full stop, but I like reading a lot of different kinds of things. But the thing about reading literary texts was that I felt that they brought more aspects of myself into play. Then you're reading all this stuff which is almost resistant to that urge towards neatness and clarity, or apparently. And that was what got me really fascinated at a university level. So being a student of literature, I love it.
It fosters imagination, and imagination is really important, because if you've got an imagination, you can actually do anything. You can do anything you want, because you can make of what you do into something wonderful, into something exciting.
What I love about literature is that it's about life. It has all the dramas, the sorrows, the laughter of life. I love the whole aesthetic dimension of literature. I love teaching it. It's a lot of fun to teach, and I find that the students who work hard at literature get an enormous amount out of it.
Students bring a lot more information to their studies than they think they do, and so in the Children's Literature minor there are 4 subjects you can study at CSU. I'm trying to create a community of learners where we're all learning from each other and teaching each other, and the results are fantastic.
One of the things that gets me fired up is the passionate fondling of language, I think. And this current teaching swag of courses involves 2 particular things. One is an ancient thing and one is a modern. The ancient thing is looking at the earliest of English literature, from the epic Beowulf to the epic Paradise Lost. 1,000 years, framed by these 2 epics. And I think this is really important for high school teachers today to kind of know where and feel where and understand where English has come from. And if you're doing an English major, it's an important foundational thing. And I'm really delighted by the way students actually embrace stuff that they've never come across before and leap into the dark in language with me. On the other hand, there's this drugs and alcohol in literature course, which again goes from Euripides' ancient Greeks and Dionysus to Candy by Luke Davies in Australia, and including Jean Cocteau's film of Orphée and the hash poets of the 19th century. So I like the diversity, the intensity, the complexity of it all. And I think students really want complexity. And that's what gets me going.